Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So it's Kolo again. So in today's tutorial guys, we'll be discussing on configuring Inter-VLAN. So this topology will be simply use router on a stick. So guys, today we'll be using different subnet. We'll have multiple subnet. We'll have subnet 1 and subnet 2 for this topology. So you can see we have multiple VLAN. We have VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Both these two belong to different subnets. You can see this one belong to subnet 20 and the other one belong to subnet 10. So what we need to do guys, we want to make sure that any PC1 from this subnet 10 here should be able to communicate with this PC on VLAN 20 but on different subnet. CP also, this PC should be able to communicate with this PC3 but they belong to the same subnet. So this is the main key concept. I will show you how you can do that. And we follow these procedures here guys. These are our steps by steps way to configure it. So we'll do together and make sure that we reach to the final point whereby we'll make sure each piece is now able to pin each other. Right now if we try to ping any of this PC, they should not ping because we haven't configured anything yet, and also here we haven't configured the static root, so therefore they cannot ping. So without further ado, let's go and do so. So I have already assigned IP addresses and their default subnet mask, their gateway to each PC so that I can save time. So I want to use as small time as possible. So first of all, we start by configuring our main switch here. Let's configure our main switch here. We'll do that by ensuring that we have created the VLAN. So since we have two VLANs within our network, we have the VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. We will create these two VLAN within our main switch and also within this switch 2 and switch 3. So let's open our switch. Let's rename our switch. Just give it simple name switch 1. Then let's go to our first interface, this interface here. So we have three interface. So within our main switch, one thing you should know is that any switch connected to another switch or connected to a router, they have a link type trunk. Link type trunk meaning they can able to transport or they can able to forward the VLAN 10 and 20 traffic within this port. So all these they have, all these port here, these interfaces here, they have a link or a port link type trunk. But if you're connecting from switch to a PC, if you're connecting from a switch to a PC, always remember to configure the port link type as an access type. This is because only this switch that belong or only these PCs that belong to this VLAN 10 will, they are the only one that will forward that traffic to this point. Therefore this link type or port link should be access. So specify the interface that we want to configure. We want to configure this one G001. So G, configure that interface G0/0/1. Then before that, let's first create our VLAN. As I said before, let's create our VLAN. So we have two VLAN 10 and 20. Now when we are done with that, let's go to that interface. We are in that interface. So for you see what I'm doing, let me just quit. Then let's go to that interface, this interface here. So this is our interface. Then within this interface, let's specify the port link type. As I said, any interface or any linking between one switch or to another switch or to a router, it should be a link type trunk to allow passage of all VLANs. Then let's also specify those VLAN. So we'll talk about port trunk. Allow pass for both. Allow pass for both VLAN 10 and 20, or you can simply use all. Now let's come and do that for this remaining two interface here. So simply quit, specify the interface. There should be two. Within this interface here, we will specify also the link type. Should be trunk. We have port link type should be trunk. Then should allow paths for both 10 and 20. Let's do that for this again. G003. I'm simply pasting because we have already typed this command so that you can save time. Also specify the port link type should be trunk, and our default allow both paths for 10 and 20. So we are done with that. Close that part. Let's open this switch 2. Let's rename our switch. Name this switch 2. Now let's specify our interface. Let's specify our interface G001. Specify that interface G0/0/1. Specify the port link type should be trunk. Note that this interface here should be trunk, but these two, they should be access. So let's come back and specify that those VLAN, so port trunk, and before that we'll have an error because we haven't created the VLANs, so we'll encounter an error. So let's quit, and here let's create the VLAN. We forgot to create the VLANs, so VLAN batch should be for 10 and 20 because we have only 10 and 20 VLAN here. If you have more than that, maybe 30 and 40, you can simply specify. Now let's go back to our interface. This interface here, and we have to specify the trunk, the port trunk, allow pass for VLAN 10 and 20. Let's quit. Let's go to another interface. For this, we'll go to interface 2, this interface here, and for this also specify the port link type. So we have a port link type of access, as I said, from any switch or any layer 3 to an end device. You simply or you're supposed to using a link type access. Then let's specify the port default VLAN. For this it will be 10. For this one, you simply know that this interface belong or it will pass traffic for VLAN 10 only. That's why we use an access link type. I mean port link type as access. So let's do the same for the third interface, which is interface 3, and for this also specify the port. I've already typed that command, so I can simply copy and also specify the port default 20, and we are good to go. So let's come back here and do the same for this one. So system, let's rename it to switch 3. Then let's create our VLAN batch. So create a VLAN batch 10 and 20. Then let's go to our first interface G0/0/1, and within this interface here we know that this link type should be trunk, so specify the port link type should be trunk. Then talk about port trunk, we should allow pass port trunk, allow pass, need to allow pass for both VLAN let me just go back to this interface. There's this problem or this default issue of individual configuration, these processes that are running behind the scene, they're affecting when you are trying to input, to insert or write this command, they interfere with you. So be very keen so that you will not misconfigure. So we already write this command here, port link type trunk. Now we need to allow pass, so we need to allow pass here, so we need to allow pass. So port link type, so port trunk allow pass for VLAN 10 and 20. That's good. Now let's quit and go to another interface, G0/0/2. Within this interface here, we need to specify the port link type. Sorry, it was supposed to be 2. So from this, specify the port link type. This one should be access. Since it's from this switch to this PC or this end device, then specify the VLAN. So specify the port default. Specify the port default VLAN for VLAN 10. This is for VLAN 10. So this interface belongs to this VLAN 10. That's why we are specifying the port default. Then we'll do the same for the other one. So let's quit. Specify the interface should be 3. Specify the port link type should be access. Specify the default should be port default should be 20. Okay, we are good. So we have only left with configuring our router. This is now the main agenda here. Now let's come to our router and configure our router. So as usual, system, go to system name, just name it router 1. Then first of all, we need to create, or we need to configure our interface. This is our interface here. We need to configure this interface. So specify the interface G0/0/1. So specify the IP address for our interface should be 192.168.0.1 with a subnet mask of 24, and we are good to go. Reason why we are configuring this interface is because if you fail to configure this interface and you are trying to pin PC1, we are trying to pin this interface from PC1 or any other devices. These devices, they would or they are not aware of this interface here, so they will not able to receive or giving feedback about the existence of this interface. Therefore, it's good to configure it so that if you try to pin anything from PC1 to this interface, you should be able to get feedback. Next thing, we need to come here and create sub interfaces. So we need to create sub interfaces. within our main interface. So our main interface is gig 0/0/1. Then within here we need to create a sub interface. Therefore this is our sub interface. I simply name it according to our VLAN. So it's VLAN 10. You simply name it almost related, because so that for you to recall very easily. So simply click enter. Now we are within our sub interface of the main interface. Within our sub interface we need to configure some things. First of all, let's configure some command here. Is this command known as the .q, the .1q, this command here. So you can see this command here, this command .1q termination VLAN ID. This command is used for sub interface of router. We simply use for sub interface. As you can see, we are within a sub interface of this main interface. So we simply use that. We simply use the .q termination within our sub interface to enable the tagging, a.q1q VLAN tagging. So we simply need to create tags within our router. Therefore we need to use this, the .1q termination. So simply come here within this and we need to specify that. So specify the .1q termination. We simply hit enter. We have an error. Sorry, .1q termination, we simply fail to add the VLAN ID. So we'll specify for this is 10. Remember our sub interface is 10, therefore you need to specify that the VLAN ID for that sub interface should be 10. Then we hit enter. Another thing you need to specify the gateway. We need to specify our gateway. If you see within our PC, we have this gateway here. So we need to specify this gateway within our sub interface. So let's come within our sub interface again and specify that gateway. So simply add IP address for our interface. For this case is 10.0.0.254. This is our subnet. This is our gateway. Then specify the subnet and you hit enter. The next thing you need to allow the RTP, the ARP. So we simply need to allow the ARP broadcasting enable. You should enable that. So always remember to enable this. This is because this command allows the device to broadcast the ARP request over the VLAN or sub interface. So what does this mean? The ARP means that whenever this packet or whenever we send the packets from, or whenever we want to pin another PC, maybe let's say we are pinning PC 2 or 3 from PC 1. So since this router has no any idea about the existence of this PC because they are not connected to its interface, so it's not have an idea about the existence of these 3 PC. So the only thing can happen here is through broadcasting. So it will receive that information and broadcast it. So all PCs that are within the network, they will receive that broadcast information. They will check, and the one that suit or the one that match the destination address or the destination address, or either the port or either the MAC address of the PC, the PC that will match those details, it will send feedback to the PC1 saying that someone this and these, those details. So there's some protocol, there's some information that will be shared, but the main agenda here is to make sure that whenever this information reaches at this point, this router will broadcast it to find the appropriate destination. So let's go ahead and do that. So we simply need to allow ARP broadcast. be enabled. Enable that. Once you enable the broadcast, so make sure you enable the broadcast, the termination ID, and the IP address. Once you're done with that, let's go back to our next interface. So our next interface is sub interface should be .20. So this is our new sub interface for this VLAN 20. So simply create that. So within our sub interface, the procedures still remain the same. So I'll just copy. First of all, specify the .1 IQ termination, but remember to change the VLAN ID to 20. Also, you must specify the IP, the gateway IP address. So specify the gateway IP address for this should be 20. Then you hit enter. Also, you should enable the RP. The ARP broadcast should be enabled. So also enable that. And once you are good, now I think we are good to go. The last thing, and that is important, you should remember always to activate your main interface. This by default is always disabled, so remember to enable this interface so that you can allow the passage of information or this data packet via the interface, so that this router will able to broadcast it. So you should make sure that you have undo the shutdown default configuration. So I said by default this interface usually is disabled, so you must enable that or you undo the shutdown. So there's a command for that. So let's go back here and let's quit. So within this we should specify that interface for this is Giga Ethernet 001. So B001. Within this interface you simply need to undo, you need to undo the shutdown. So simply undo that. This is like enable it. So once you're done with that, you can now close and you check several things before pinning. So it's good to check if you have configured your Inter-VLAN correctly. So there's some command to check if we have configured our switches and routers correctly. So we will need to display something very important. We need to simply display the port VLAN for each switch and check if we have configured these two VLAN 10 and 20. So if you come right here at the top, you will see for interface 2 and 3 we have configured our interface, our VLAN, which is 10 and 20, and their link type is access. Also, if you check here again, we have one link or interface that has a link type trunk, and also it allow both passage of 10 and 20. Simply this is the interface that we are talking about, that is of trunk type, and also this 10 and 20 access, they are to these two. So this is well configured and there is no issue there. So let's do the same for this one. So we'll do the same for that one again, and we check. We simply display the VLAN port. They display the port VLAN. Also, let's check again for this one, and again also for this one is good. As you can see, 10 and 20 of link type access. As you can see here, and also one link type trunk for this port here. So it's good. Let's do lastly for this one, and let's also display our port VLAN for this also, and we expect every interface here to be of trunk type and should all allow the VLAN 10 and 20. So if you come at the top here, you can see the first interface here, which is this interface is well configured, The same for these two interfaces are all well configured. Once you spot this, or once you check for this, now you can go ahead and try pinging each PC. So we'll start with PC1 and try to ping it to see if it can able to ping this PC that are being connected within the same switch. So let's try to ping, but remember that these two PC they belong to different subnet. By that I said, if you check this belong to the 10 network and this belong to the 20 network, this tell us that this one and this one are of different subnet. So let's try to ping that and see if it's now able to ping 20.0.0.1, and it should be able to ping. So as you can see right now it's pinging, meaning we have configured well this VLAN is able to communicate with this VLAN that is of in a different subnet. So let's try to ping this interface here. Let's try ping this interface. Also it's good to ping that interface 92.168.0.1. Also is pinging, so you can see this interface is able to ping. So let's try for other PCs, just two or one more. Let's try to ping this PC from this side also. We'll try ping PC from VLAN 20 and check if we can able to get replies. So we'll ping this PC here belong to the same VLAN but not connected to the same switch, so we'll simply pin that 20.0.0.1 and see if you can able to get reply. As you can see we are getting reply. Let's ping this PC from VLAN 10, so we'll ping that from VLAN 10. Also is pinging, so you can see it's pinging, so we have no issue with that. Lastly we'll ping that interface. Let's ping this interface here, so ping 192.168.0.1, and also it should be pinging. So guys, this is how you can configure this topology, configure Inter-VLAN routine protocol. You can see we have step by step in a way that you can configure it. Simply follow these steps. This is how you can configure router on stick for multiple subnets. So we can have different topology. You can just create a topology of your own and you try to configure this VLAN. Also you can make sure that at least you have more than one subnet, so that you'll be aware or will have this knowledge on how you can configure all this. So thanks guys for watching. Please remember to subscribe so that you can get more tutorial like this. So we still focusing for the coming videos. We're creating another video based on ACL. We'll talk more about ACL. I will show you how you can configure ACL within the same subnet, within a multiple subnet. So guys, hit that like, remember to comment, say anything. Subscribe is the main agenda here, so give me that one subscription and I appreciate. So see you in the next video. It's goodbye.